Oh, yes, we're live.
All
All
right.
right, welcome everyone to the Kasanova podcast. I'm your host, MekelKasanova. We're going to be coming at you with a lot of great content. So go ahead, sit down, relax. It's been a long work day for most people. A lot of us, we've had this day off. So, and this is also, it's January 1st. So let's have a good time. I got my main man, Jonesy the Gent, on the show. So people, go ahead and give it up to him. Jonesy, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell people who you are.
What's going on? What's going on? I'm Jonesy the Gent. Many of you see me on OJ Player Essence channel. Big supporter of his, and I'm usually around the internet here and there on YouTube, but just a regular gamer like most of y'all with an axe to grind, so to speak.
All right. And we have some topics we wanted to go over, people, and I think one of them we need to go ahead and get out of the way. Should we do the rant now, or should we do it later?
We can start out with it because it's a branching topic, so I'm sure it's going to go off in a tangent somewhere.
All right, let's go ahead. Hey, go ahead and air your thoughts, man. I'll come in. I'll go in and throw some jabs here and there. So go ahead.
All right, man. Well, it's just one of those things where I've noticed lately that there's a lot of Xbox brand hate that's been going on online, specifically Twitter, YouTube, and I feel that some of it is founded, and I agree with some things, but the overall hate seems to be coming from ignorance or maybe misinformation that stem from the launch of the system. Namely, a lot of the Don Matrick launch of the Xbox One that went on back in, I think that was October or September of 2013,
Yeah, right
before the
about that
launch of the
time.
system. Somewhere around E3, they announced the system, and all they talked about was entertainment, the NFL Network package, stuff that most gamers didn't care about, and they botched it, and it was horrible. I'll agree, but they announced a lot of bad policies that they were planning on doing with the Xbox One, but they got a lot of bad feedback from it, and as in Microsoft, pretty much cleaned house there at Xbox. Obviously, Matrick was gone, and a lot of the senior staff disappeared. And Phil Spencer took over and changed the direction of the company, especially after Sony came out and pretty much just Xbox lights out at their reveal event and pretty much just blasted them for every decision in that launch. So was their only interaction or information that they had heard about the Xbox One. And most people, are Xbox 360 users. A lot of people started buying the PS3 late in the generation to get like Last of Us and the Uncharted games. But there was still a lot of 360 users out there. And as soon as they started hearing, oh, Microsoft's going to charge me for if I want to lend them to somebody, they're gonna, make me do DRM and always online, and I have to buy a Connect, and man, all that jazz that was coming out of that event, and that was all the information people got.
Yeah, it was really ridiculous. And actually, at that time, I was working for Microsoft, and um, I was where was I? I think I was up in Redmond, Washington, back when that was going on. And man, to say that that was a PR nightmare, goodness, it was just it was one of those things. You're over here like, can we just get this guy off the stage? Especially when he made that comment when they asked him like, oh, so if the person doesn't have all this, access to the internet to be always online connected, what can they do? And he's like, well, there's the 360. I was like, wow, how can that was like
Yeah.
the worst thing, and they quickly got rid of him. But and that's the thing that's funny is a lot of people actually don't realize that that's the state of gaming that we've gotten to now. We're always connected. Like almost every AAA game that's coming out is online only, and it's so funny that even though that was a blunder, that Microsoft technically was ahead of the curve, knowing that that was the state that we were going to come to.
They unfortunately told the truth of what was coming in the future, and Sony saw that. I mean, it was really to Sony's advantage because they saw everything that Microsoft announced, and even if they were going to use, let's say, only 60% of the same policies that Microsoft was going to use, the fact that they got all that instant feedback from the Microsoft launch event, that was able for them to just put on the reverse thrusters and say, okay, we got a couple months, let's work on a launch plan, and that's all they had to do. And I mean,
Yeah.
and even with their plans with VR, they kept them pretty secretive up until the launch. So it was like they had totally learned, like, you can release all these things that most people consider bad, and people will buy it still, but
Yep.
just don't talk about it before it launches because people will get mad about it. And some of the Microsoft policies were actually really cool. Like they had that digital trade back policy that they were talking about, where if you bought your games digitally, they were talking about, hey, there's a way that obviously it's just a key, but they would give you a partial refund. Or I think you probably know a little bit better than me, but there was also the talk of what eventually would become the Games Pass program, with that launch event.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a lot of good things in that launch event, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. My launch Xbox One, my wife and I used that as our entertainment hub. I mean, we plugged our cable through it, and man, it was nice just telling the Connect what to do. I mean, you just
Yeah.
say, watch, TBS, or watch, this, or watch this show. And it would literally do everything with the cable box, and it was completely hands free. So neat idea, but it was just sad how they handled the event. But, uh, you know, getting back to that event and how it leads to the hate was, I think that so many people, that is the only thing they ever heard about Xbox, the Xbox
Yeah.
One. And right there and then, with all that negativity, and then you look and it's like, well, I've been playing on Xbox, but I'm hearing all this bad stuff, and the PlayStation 4 is $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm
And
going to go with the PS4.
see, and that was the thing. I mean, back then, I also feel like that people didn't really get so hyped up about the 1080p versus 900p, or the 720p graphics, until maybe a year after the launch, or within that first year, because when it came out, that was the only thing that made people not want the Xbox. Was, like you said, it was that PR blunder. Then you
Mm.
had YouTubers and columnists and journalists putting out hugely negative press about it, which they're still doing to this day, which it baffles my
Yeah.
mind. I'm like, okay, so you mean to tell me that you got something you can sit and connect all your entertainment into? Like you said, you can run your cable box into it, you can run your satellite into it, antenna, whatever, and you're able to have that as your main entertainment hub. But that's a problem. Like I don't get that. Like, and if you see right here, like I've got my day one edition hooked up to my wife's station. She'll play on it occasionally if she's in here. Like we're both, I got that one there, and I got my Project Scorpio right here. So sometimes we'll sit here and just play back to back, and it's
Heck yeah,
just,
man.
yeah, man, it's so
Like the
fun,
good
and
old days.
right. And it's like when you look at it too, some of the things I noticed that people also don't seem to understand about Xbox is they've got the best servers when it comes to online. Like PlayStation's online servers are absolute garbage. Every time I've tried to play, like I'm huge on fighting games. When I try to play like Street
Oh
Fighter,
yeah.
King of Fighters, Mortal Kombat, Tekken. I'm sitting there waiting 15 to 20 minutes, hell, sometimes even 30 minutes just to get a match going. And I'm over here like, really? But if I play Tekken or Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite or even like Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox, then I'm able to go with no lag, no latency. It's like, okay, I go into the online matches, boom, I got a match. If I'm playing Halo Online, boom, I got a match. It doesn't matter what I play. If it's online multiplayer, it's there. And I feel like people don't give that respect to Microsoft like that they should. And it really the fanboyism when it comes to I hate using the term fanboy, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But the
No, when it's there, it's
fanboyism when it,
there.
yeah, like when it goes to like PlayStation, it's there. Is people they see it as a dominant brand. They see it as there's so many of them sold. Yes, there's more PlayStation 4 sold than Xbox Ones, but how many of those PlayStation 4s that are sold are actually being played online? There's a
Yeah.
massive difference between how many are played online with the PS4 versus how many people are connected to Xbox
Oh
online.
yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, well, and to that point exactly. I mean, you see, everybody says, "Oh man, Microsoft's in the tank." Xbox is failing, but I mean, if you look at the numbers for how many concurrent players are on Xbox Live at a given time, I mean, their numbers are crazy. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not going to throw a random number out there and act like it's fact, but I know it was well over 50 million was their number. It's one of those things where they look at that and they're like, okay, we have users that are loyally using our servers constantly. That's Xbox Live users. They're paying for the service. And the thing was that Xbox, yes, they have their issues, but
yeah,
specifically, with the quote unquote exclusives. And a side note on that, when the
all of it.
heck did exclusives become everything? Because I mean, when uh, you know, PS3 had tons of exclusives, tons of great exclusives, and I didn't see anybody coming out the woodwork saying, "Oh, Microsoft doesn't have any exclusives, and PS3 has all the exclusives." That
Right?
that stuff didn't matter that generation. I mean, if that's the case, Wii U should have killed by a mile
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
that's
had.
true.
And it's just like it just seems like just another thing to it's what do they call it, another bit of ammunition to use, war machine. And I said it, there's certain influencers that they're profiting from the console war,
Yeah,
almost like daddy warbucks, and they're making money off of people fighting amongst themselves over this, and they just throw in little hand grenades and little mines here and there, and just to stir up the problems. And I mean, I remember in that first and second year, late first year, early second year, they were they'd be like, oh, the Xbox One is at 900p, version is at 960p, and this and that. But like you said, network infrastructure better. I
yeah,
mean, PlayStation 3's big thing was our network's free. Yeah, free to get your financial information stolen. So what was that, like 80 million people or something? I mean, that was
it
horrible.
was. Was there a class action
It
suit
was.
against them?
Yeah, I actually was a part of that suit.
Me
I
too.
got my
I think it was.
I
Yeah.
got my copy of Little Deviants for the Vita as a payoff. That was part of the deal. They actually had another one for the Linux. Apparently, one of the advertisements for PS3 was that you could use Linux on the system.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember
this one
that.
guy, this one guy said, "I bought a PS3 just to use Linux." So that's false advertising because you got rid of Linux. So when you in a class action lawsuit. But getting back to it's just that's what I was saying, man. You get what you pay for. Yes, Xbox charges a little bit more for their online service with Xbox Live, but
Actually, it's the
you
same now.
is it the
They're both.
same? Did
Yeah,
PlayStation? Did
yeah. They up the
Oh
price.
wow! Oh my goodness, man. So there it is, man. There it is. You're paying the same amount of money, which you used to pay $10 more. But honestly, in my opinion, $10 more was fine with me. But now you're paying the same price. But and Sony uses that because I think they saw that if we keep this free, we're not going to be able to have the security. We're not going to be able to have the servers. We're not even going to have anywhere close to what Microsoft has.
Yeah.
Microsoft is Microsoft, that's their business.
Yeah,
So
and that's the. No, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, no,
Oh,
go
I
ahead.
was just gonna literally say, that's their business, and Sony just they need to up the game pretty much in that area. So hopefully the money helps.
So we got Power Level Amy, in the chat right now. Shout out to Power Level
What's
Amy.
going on,
So
Amy?
she two things she said. Well, three things she said. Actually, four.
Oh my God! Rapid fire.
All right. So one of the things she says that I agree with, she says that the internet free thing is funny. Sony fans tout it as a big deal for PS3. Then free internet on the Wii up to the Switch is a negative, and now paying for online is for true gamers. And then she also says that PSN still doesn't, and PSN sucks ass, which I agree because PSN is super slow. They constantly change the layout all the time, so nothing's ever where it is the last time you went to see it. Like before, they used to have a PS2 section or PS2 Classic section.
Yeah.
Now you got to go through all these menus to find it. Half the times, like if there's a game beta that's fully available for everyone to try out, you can't actually find it through the store. You'll have to go online through your computer or your phone, sign into your account, download it through your account, and then go to your PlayStation and then download it from there. And it's ridiculous. That's just like the other issue I have with PlayStation is I've got 3 PS4s. I got 2 Pros and 1 regular Slim. And if I save a game on one of them, I have to upload it to the cloud, download it to another one. And I hate that. Whereas on my Xbox, it just auto
transfers.
saves. Yeah.
Yep.
And people don't act like that's anything big. I'm like, really?
They look a gift horse in the mouth, as the saying goes. Well, and think too of the home console function, which, man, if you have a family, if you have like you said with you and your wife, if you're in that kind of a situation and you have multiple systems, the home Xbox feature, which most people still don't know about, this is one of the best features you can have. It's Microsoft slitting their own throat on software sales, but how consumer friendly they are. You can literally go into your settings, click "This is my home console" on your other home console on your account, and then all your downloaded games are able to play on that console.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you download them on another system or not. You can play them on both systems. As long as your account is on one system and then your home Xbox is another system, you can have 2 totally different systems in the same games, the same library. That saves you half the money.
Yeah, it does. It's just something again, another thing that people don't talk about it because it's not controversial. It doesn't get them clicks. So I don't know. And people listening and watching, don't take it that we're just completely shitting on PlayStation as a whole. It's a good platform, but
I love the PlayStation. I do, really.
But
I know that sounds horrible, but
But there are some things that just it could be improved, and there's things that Sony needs to work on. Like, here's another one. How come we can't change our PSN names? People have been asking for that for a decade, and we still can't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Luckily, my names are pretty much congruent between all the systems. But yeah, I mean, for some people who like made their name when they were like 12 or something, and it's like, Randy Girl 6969 or something like that, or Joe Smokes 420, and they're like at their job, and their boss is like, because at my job, like, everybody's real chill, and we're pretty much, most people are in their like 20s and 30s, so most people are gamers. So your boss is like, hey, you want to play PUBG with me? It's like, yeah, but then you're like, maybe I shouldn't add them because my name is Smokes a Lot 420, so it would help if they're going to do that. But they were going to announce it at PSX. Know if it happened. You'd think we would have heard about it if it did. So I think
No,
that happened.
I don't think they did. I mean, and that's something that I don't understand what that would be so hard for them to do. And that's a small thing. Because like for me, I made my PSN back I want to say like my junior year of college, like 2009, and mine was it was random because I used to make the accounts, and I know this is bad, but I used to make the accounts so I got the free month trial. So
Hey man,
the
we
one
all
I
did
had,
that back then.
right? So mine is like Mekel 1988, and I'm like, damn, I can't change it now. So I'm stuck with that one. And like, even though I want to make a new account altogether, I can't because I've got so much that's stored on that. Like I've got games on my PS3 that if I were to change accounts, you can't get anymore. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Marvel vs.
Yeah.
Capcom Origins, stuff that they just delisted. I'm like,
Yep.
I can't chance that. So, and like kind of like Amy
Yeah.
just said in the chat, they're probably waiting to put the feature behind the paywall, which it very well could be. So,
Yeah. Microsoft gives you the free one. They give you one for free, and then I think it's what, $10 after that, or 20
yeah,
bucks. I can't remember. Yeah,
yeah,
I got a
roughly 10
buddy.
bucks.
He's into the whole MLG for Halo, and he changes his name like all the time. I was like, man, you probably dropped like $100 on name changes, but hey. But I mean, I love PlayStation. I'm not a brand loyalist by any means. I have pretty much every system. I mean, I'm very fortunate, and I've always had a job to the point where I can afford to buy multiple systems, or I'll buy the bundles when they come available. But I mean, I just bought the Star Wars Battlefront 2 PS4 Pro bundle, and I do enjoy it. I have the X, and that kind of trumps that in visuals. But for a game like, and this is going to sound dumb to some people, but Res Infinite, I think that game is absolutely gorgeous on the PS4 Pro. I think that's one of their best exclusives that they have. And I mean, I know it's a niche game, but my Sega fanboy love is coming out there a little bit. Gotta love that Res, man. A Panzer Dragoon, the rail shooter kind of game. But there are some really good exclusives, especially like you said, the fighting games. You know, if you want the all time best fighting games from Japan, you're gonna have to go
Yeah,
with PlayStation, because Xbox doesn't get them. If you want Guilty Gear, I mean, I think some BlazBlue games come to Xbox, like a couple of them. Um,
I
I
think
know
they
the
got the
Persona.
I think they got the latest
Go
one.
ahead.
That's it. I think they only have like the
Yeah,
latest one. But Persona, they stopped putting that on Xbox with 360. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and that was a really good one too. But I mean, even like some of the niche titles too, like your Wild Guns Reloaded. The now Raiden 5 is on Xbox One. In fact, it was an exclusive for a while, believe it or not. And but the shooter, of course, old school top down shooter, but um, physical version. And of
Mhm.
course, once Sony gets it, release a physical version, and they know it's going to do well because I don't know what it was. They didn't do the physical version. They didn't think people were going to buy that version. But I don't know. Definitely, it's definitely frustrating because you are getting one console or another for certain types of games.
Yeah.
You want your shooters and your simulators and stuff like that on definitely the better system. Sports games, I hands down your fighters, shooters, RPGs, obviously, and any type of third person. I usually like them on PlayStation a little better. So
Yeah,
each
I
system
agree.
has its strengths.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I it's I think a lot of people also don't understand how, like, especially a lot this generation, they don't understand why Xbox may not have as many full-on exclusive Japanese games in comparison to the PlayStation, and that's always been a thing for Microsoft. They've always not been able to penetrate the Japanese market. I mean, they'll sell some, but the Xbox just aesthetically, like the look of it, the size, it doesn't appeal to the Japanese. So that's why it's never really taken off there like it could have.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that also factors into why they don't get the games that, PlayStation does get. I'm surprised that Monster Hunter World is coming to the Xbox One when they,
Yeah.
when they passed up on putting Street Fighter 5 on something other than PlayStation PC. And I understand that Sony, helped Capcom fund
Yeah.
that, but I really feel like that was a very, very bad decision on Sony's end because Street Fighter 5 is the worst selling Street Fighter in history, which is funny. It's a great game.
Yeah.
It's just hindered by being exclusive.
Yeah. I honestly I haven't played five yet. I'm actually probably gonna get it now that they have the arcade version. But it I from what I've heard from everybody I know who's a big fighting person, they've always said this about five. They said technically the game is sound. It is one of the best fighters technically, but gameplay wise, there's just something about it.
Yeah.
And I've just heard that from so many people. They just don't, and I think that was the same problem with Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. I almost said four, which is what we should have got. Well, hopefully they will do a four, but Infinite, it was like, what is this, man? Like with X-Men versus Street Fighter and the Clone Wars, and that was one of those things where those were amazing arcade titles. I mean, I had them on the Saturn, but basically it was the arcade ports, and now you see like what they've done with that franchise, and it's like, man, this is just pardon my French, but it's bastardized to hell.
Yeah.
And I just think that we're getting to a point now where a lot of these big name franchises are either going the route of they're retaining their soul and their essence, like like Mario, Zelda. um I think Gears 4 was a good one of that. I think that one retained its soul.
Yeah.
um
Gears 4 is amazing.
yeah, man, I saw somebody, I think it was in the Discord chat, they were like, oh man, Gears 4 sucks. And I was like, man, this was my second favorite Gears game after Gears 2. Now I know
Yeah.
most people love 3, but 2 was my favorite. And I just thought this one was really good. And I thought the story was good too. I mean,
Yeah.
I really didn't see any issues with it. So, I mean, again, all the systems have their strengths. Nintendo is doing their own thing, and that's what Nintendo's always been good at. You and the GameCube are proof that as soon as Nintendo tries to be like Microsoft and Sony, they lose their essence, and those
Yeah.
consoles never do well.
Yeah.
And even to the N64, I mean, I know it was cartridges and that was weird, but for the most part, that system was trying to be like the other guys. And Nintendo just, there's this place in the industry right now for all three of these companies. And I would go out on a limb to say we as the consumers need all three of these companies to do well for us
See,
to win.
and you're so right about that. And it's funny how, the mindset of a lot of people is that, and I remember back in the beginning of 2017 and the end of 2016 when the Switch was announced, people were saying that, they wanted Nintendo to just die and go third party. And then they were doing the same thing with Microsoft, saying the Xbox is bleeding Microsoft dry. When reality is not, people. Microsoft has billions upon billions, if not trillions, to throw away. But there's a market for all three platforms. There's something for everyone. And even Microsoft and Sony themselves have said that an industry without Nintendo is in trouble, you know, and it would go either way. There needs to be three. There needs to be, opportunity for something to be on each one. And I mean, you need your multi-plats, and hopefully, when Sony gets their foot out of their ass, we'll be able to have cross-play with multiple consoles,
Yeah,
which it needs to
that
happen.
would be real nice.
But having the opportunity to have, if you want portability and hybrid like console, go to Nintendo. If you want, you know, Japanese exclusive games, fighting games, RPGs, go with PlayStation. If you want the best online experience and best multiplayer, go with Xbox. See, there's something for everyone, you know. And I feel like you got people. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, like BG and Weapon Wheel people that don't seem to understand that we need choice. Like having a lack of choice is only going to lead to more frustration. I mean, how many times have we had cell phone companies try to buy out another? We had the AT&T, was it AT&T and T-Mobile trying to merge at one point, and Sprint and
Yeah.
T-Mobile, and then Verizon and someone else. Like, we can't have that kind of monopoly, because when you're limiting choice, then it's going to be stuck with this is what it is. If you don't like it, then you know.
Oh yeah, tough, tough. Oh, I mean, and that's the funniest thing about it all, and it's kind of ironic. Is you remember? I can't remember the guy's name, but he was an executive with a lower executive with Microsoft. And do you remember what he said about when they said, "Oh well, why should I have to pay for the games twice or something like that about the Xbox launch event?" And he was like, "Deal with it." And he obviously got ran out of town, and his life was
Yeah.
basically ruined. I think he released a VR game recently, so I think he jumped back a little bit. But the whole thing was that was such a meme for so long about Microsoft. Oh, Microsoft says just deal with it, but yet now we have this mentality where Microsoft should die, and we want just Sony. But geez, Pete's, man, do people have that short of a memory? What do you remember the PS3 launch event? That was a
Oh my
disaster too.
goodness.
You
I'm
have to
glad
pay
you brought that
seven
up
hundred
too.
dollars for a console, and if you don't want it, you have to get another job. Like I
Right.
was like, Jesus, man, why you're telling people to get another job? Like,
I got
I
mine on a monthly payment installment plan back when I was in college,
yeah,
because it started at what, 600, 700? That PS3
it
is
was it
expensive.
was it was $600, I think, for the highest gigs, and well, remember That one played PS2 and PS1 games, so it was worth it. You
Yeah.
know, that was the whole shebang, man. And those launch ones are kind of hard to find now, just
I
because.
still got mine.
Hey, yeah, lucky man. I bought one off a guy for like $25, and I looked at it, and it was the George Foreman style ones, and I was like, oh man, I was like, I got the George Foreman grill, and man, I put a PS2 disc in. It was just like spit it back out at me. It was like, nope, I'm not reading this. But it was just like I said, man. It's one of those things where we needed Sony back then to get their ish together so they
Yeah.
could take on Microsoft to keep Microsoft humble. And look what happened. Imagine if Sony would have failed and limped on, during the PS3, and then Microsoft announced all that stuff with the Xbox One. Do you think they would have changed any of those policies, the bad ones that nobody liked? They'd have been like, well, you can either go with us that we're good, but we have bad policies, or you can go with Sony that is limping. Your choice, but neither one of them's good.
Yeah.
So at least there was a PlayStation at that time to keep Microsoft honest. But what the problem is when you get the fanboy, and I hate that term too, man, but I don't know how else to explain it. Fanboy brand loyalty, but I mean the loyalty seems like it's like bought and paid for half the time.
Yeah.
And a one console future, which some big outlets have been pushing all generation long, the type of gaming future that we want as consumers, as gamers, as anything. We do not want that future, and that's really my axe that I have to grind, is that whether you like the Xbox or don't like it, whether you have one or don't have one, it's behooves everyone who is a gamer for Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo to all be successful, as
Yeah.
well as the software companies too. I mean, yes, EA's a bum, but I think they're going to probably end up learning from their mistakes,
Yeah.
same way Microsoft did.
Yeah. I mean, it only took Disney, shoving a very, very big size 21-foot up EA's ass to make them chill out. And that's the thing too. There's so many people that have been ragging the Star Wars Battlefront. Like I have it for PC. I got basically I got one for free for reviewing one of their mobile games, which was trash. But I did the review and I got a code for that. And I enjoy Star Wars. I'm not even a Star Wars fan, but I enjoy the game for what it is. But I can understand the issues of the microtransactions and how they can upset people to feel a certain way. And yeah, maybe there's some validity and we need to boycott them to teach them a lesson and have bigger organizations. And now we've gotten to the point where there's, states are suing EA over it. Like Hawaii was one of the first ones to be
Yeah,
public about it.
I was going to say.
And it was kind of funny because my wife's family is into a lot of the politics out here. So when I heard that, I was like, damn, EA really fucked up. They got Hawaii, the quietest state to come and say
Yeah,
something. Okay.
everybody's just
You know.
chilling out, but they're putting their foot down.
But if it takes that to happen to regulate them, good. Because I've had an issue with the whole practice of DLC from the get-go. Why, and even Capcom is guilty of this too, because when I forgot the name of the game, I think it was oh shit, I can't even think of the name of it. It was some game that came out in 2012 or 2013 where the only way you could get to the last chapter of the game is you had to buy the DLC. And I can't. Amy's in the chat. I think you know what game I'm
Remember
talking
me?
about. No, not. Did that one have it too? In the DLC
I don't.
issues,
I don't. What game was that?
it had that
It
guy who
wasn't
was like a
Lost Planet.
god. He's like a fighting god.
Oh, Asura's Wrath. Yes, I
Yeah.
remember now. Asura's Wrath. Yeah, they had the regular ending, and then they had the real ending.
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
it's
that
like
is crummy when they do that.
yeah, it's like stuff like that just grinds my gears. And the thing is, a lot of people think that EA was is the worst for doing that, but this has been going on for a while. And
Yeah.
especially like if you pick up one of those what's the Tales series,
Oh
like
yeah.
if you go on PlayStation Network and you look at the DLC stuff, it's crazy. All that for a freaking outfit? Like really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and I mean, do you remember the whole infamous horse armor from Oblivion? I mean, that was such a huge deal. But then you've had even bigger sins with Well, look at one a popular one, Team Fortress 2. The game
Ooh.
is populated by hat sales, and well, it just seems like some folks they want to rag on things that they don't like, but when it's something they do like, I don't know. My dad always he had these sayings, and one of his sayings was, "Cry until it's their ox that's being gored," and basically what he was saying was, people don't care unless it affects them, and
Yeah.
it's like, if I'm playing a game here, like let's say I'm playing, The Witcher 3, and I get 16 pieces of DLC for free, hey man, I don't care. It don't bother me. I'm getting free DLC all day. I love DLC. But then as soon as you go to Fallout 4 and they're like, hey, if you want more content, you have to buy a $30 or what was it, $20 or $30 season pass, and then it's $50 eventually or whatever it was. um I bought mine to get the Nuka Cola, so I don't know what the original the up price was. I bought it at launch, but you know the thing is that person who bought the Fallout 4 one, they're going to be like, oh, I hate DLC because I have to pay for it to get extra content. But I agree with you in the fact that I don't like it when it is like if you want the real ending, or if you want the good guns, or if you want this and that. I hate that kind of stuff. I hate it too, but I hate when they give you the nicest armor or stuff early on in the game, especially like RPG games. They're like, you can get the dope armor right away, or the really nice weapons right away if you pay $2. And I'm like, well, hell, it's $2, man. I'll do that all day, you know. But
Pre-order the
it is one
game
of
to
those
get
things.
this exclusive.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then eventually, it's a well. I remember with Fallout New Vegas, it was the Courier's pack or the Courier stash. You literally got all kinds of. It was four different armor sets, four different weapon sets, four. I mean, it was an awesome little bonus, but then it only came with the pre-order, and then you had to buy it, and it was $3, and it's like, hey, for pre-orders, eventually it should just be free. It shouldn't be a thing, something you charge for. Same way with like story missions, like unless it's an extra content. Like I think of I think Bethesda usually does it pretty good, and I'm not going to bash them too much. They handle DLC pretty well. Same way with CD Projekt Red with The Witcher. They handled DLC well. If it's a whole new experience and you're going to get 10 to 40 hours out of it, now obviously The Witcher is a bit much, but if you're getting 10 hours for a few $5, that's not bad. I don't have any problems with that. But when you're paying for the real ending, and I was not a fan of the Broken Steel DLC for Fallout for that reason. But the other ones were great. But to add to charge people for the complete game, that's not right.
Yeah, you remember? was that game Evolve that came out back in 2015?
No. Yeah.
Oh
Oh, yeah. I
my
remember that one.
God, the DLC was did that
So
studio shut
much.
down? Total Rock Studios, did they shut down?
I don't think they shut down, but I just don't think they're doing anything. So I think it's like a one of those hiatus things. I don't think it was official or anything because they were they were guys that worked on Dead or Alive, and then I think they started Turtle Rock or whatever, and then Evolve was supposed to. I mean, you remember, man, that was supposed to be the next big thing,
Yeah.
and it demoed really well. I mean,
Yeah.
that was one of those games where I remember watching. There was so much content on that game. It was like, man, this is one of the most fun games I've played, and da, da, da. And that's speaking of that sort of thing. I mean, that's what worries me with Sea of Thieves too. Is that, I mean, it demos very well, but it's like, okay, it's fun for 30 minutes. We know it's going to be fun for 30 minutes. What's it going to be like when I play it after 10 hours and 30 minutes? Those are those experiences where I want to know about that. But on the DLC topic, man, the whole Evolve thing. I mean, they were charging like $15 for an extra monster skin. That's
I
that's
remember.
insane.
Oh
And
man, I remember.
well, I think that's a free to play game now. If I'm correct,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
they changed the model because
And they still can't get anyone to play it.
no, I mean the ship sailed. It's like that. What the hell's that? The Cliffy B's newest game he had,
Oh, Lawbreakers.
Breakers. It's just like that, man. That ship is sailed. Nobody's getting on board with that game ever again. I mean, not unless they bring it to a new platform. I think if they bring that thing, if they can figure out how to get it on the Switch and the Xbox One, I think he can save himself.
You
But
remember what the I know there was a controversy back with it when people were asking for it to come to the Switch, and they put out a tweet saying that it wasn't enough
I remember.
buttons. Oh my
Yeah,
God, they got roasted.
yeah. They need to count before they make dumb statements like that. Well, and I mean, say it, like tell the truth. Like I hate that, man. I hate that so much. You know, I literally hate when that's the thing is like developers. They instead of saying, look, we don't know if it's going to run on the system or not, but we're going to do everything we can to figure it out. Just instead, they do this half-ass PR speak, and then they just come off sounding like assholes. So their whole
Yeah.
goal was not to upset anybody, and really, they upset everybody. So I don't understand that whole mentality that's going on right now. And the Switch, I mean, getting onto that topic, I posted on Twitter earlier, like that was a platform that was getting so much hate, so much at the beginning of its life, and after the launch event, man, everybody and their brother was hating on that system. And I'll tell you right off the bat, like I'm not a Nintendo fan, never really was. I played the Super Nintendo, and that was my last home console. And I ended up seeing that launch event for the Switch, and I was like, man, this system speaks to me. Playing portable AAA games on the go, just popping it off. I love remote play on the Vita when it works. I mean, that's the caveat. When it works, it's great.
Yeah.
But was literally everything I wanted from the Vita, and I was like, "This is awesome." I mean, all those people that supposedly love the Vita, and all I see is, "Oh, this sucks. This is trash." And I literally got to the point where I was just like, "Give it a chance."
Yeah.
Give this system a chance. And I literally told so many people, I think this system is going to be something special because the Vita and the PSP were so close, but they just couldn't. They didn't have that certain something, and I think the certain something was Nintendo's brand behind it.
Yeah.
Nintendo Portable kicks ass.
And see, that was the thing too. Like, I remember when people were just straight up just shitting on it left and right. They're like, it was gonna. I remember Rich Review Tech USA. He was swearing it was gonna fail. Dreamcast guy
Yeah,
was swearing it was gonna fail, and like so many people were, and I could never understand like what the need for all the hate was, because it's just it's like, can you guys just wait for it to come out first? Like,
rapid reactions.
I know, and I think the thing, and it really comes down to negativity. Just gets clicks. They have to do something. You know,
Yeah, no,
they've gotta.
you're absolutely right. And like I literally I said something to OJ some time ago. I literally told him, I was like, can we just give a system some time to breathe? Do we have to announce whether it's a success or failure within the first 5 days? I mean, I just saw, a video literally saying, "Oh, the Xbox One X sold great at first, but it really tapered off. The system's been out for 2.5 months. How can you even accurately tell what's sold well at first and tapering off? It's had 2 months. It sold a ton at launch and prior to
Yeah,
Black Friday, up to Black Friday, and then after Black Friday, it hasn't sold much. But what has any of the systems sold since Black Friday? I would suggest probably not many, because, I mean, in other parts of the world, I'm sure they do. Like Japan, I know the Switch sold very well, 150,000 week, but here in the States, just do well on that one week. I mean, you've been in retail. You kick ass. I worked for Amazon, man. We kicked ass up until just about the week after Black Friday, and then sales tapered off. We were dead. So, it's one of those things where I think people just need to chill and chill with the clickbait titles, chill with the Xbox hate, chill with the Switch hate, and just relax with the fanboy pandering.
I mean, for real, I haven't seen this much. And the fanboyism now. Like, if we were to compare it to like the '90s when we had Sega versus Nintendo, I don't even think it's the same type of fanboyism, because back then, it literally was, you were about one platform or the other, and there really wasn't that many cross-platform multi-plat games. Whereas now, it's like, what controller do you want? Do you want a PlayStation One or a Switch One? You want a PlayStation One? It's really come down to that, where and people are just so, I want to say, invested. Like, they have stock in the companies, and I really want to know, like, what board meeting are you sitting on where this, whether it does well or it doesn't, it affects your livelihood. Like, I'm like you. I don't have a brand loyalty to any of these consoles. I've been fortunate enough to be able to buy them all, and grow up in a household where we had both, and we were the only kids growing up that had Sega, Nintendo, 3DO, CDI, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just what it was. But a lot of these people now, they're just, oh my god, man, it's just ridiculous. This hate, like, I don't understand what it does for people. I really don't. Like, it doesn't. And I see the clickbait titles, which I fucking hate clickbait titles. I've unsubbed from so many YouTubers due to the clickbait, especially, like, as everyone knows, I've been on Xenoblade Chronicles 2 heavy for a month. And I saw people put out reviews the day it dropped, within the week after it dropped, and then they're like, "Oh, well, I beat it within 50 hours or whatever," and then I can go on the
Oh my
Nintendo thing
God.
and I can see they put like
So
10 hours
terrible.
into it. And it's like like realistically, like there's so much in that game. There's no way that you can beat it within 50 hours. It requires you to do a lot of side quests to grind. And so for me to see these guys putting up a review, like I'm not going to review this game, but I'm technically reviewing it or I'm giving an opinion on it. Oh, it's typical anime. I don't like anime, blah, blah, blah. Like, you guys aren't even really reviewing it.
No.
It's just straight for the clicks. That's just like what's another game that came out did really well, but people Tiny Metal. How you had so many YouTubers jumping out doing rant videos talking about the company was laundering money and all this other stuff. And then for it to come out that it was an ex-employee who was bitter, they got fired. And now these YouTubers what they did was they took down the video instead of, I don't know.
Doing a mea culpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. And I think that goes into the whole rapid reaction society that we live in right now. I think that the big difference, and I know me and you have had this conversation before about broadcasting compared to YouTube right now, is that broadcasting, they have that structure base where you have to get approval before you put something on air. You have to, I mean, even no matter how story is, no matter how defaming a story is to anybody, even the president of the United States, no matter how it is, they have to get approval first. And they get approval, and it's pretty quick. I mean, they could probably get approval in like minutes, but still, they get approval. And what happens is that you have a lot of people who they don't have anybody to say, well, that's a good idea, or yeah, that's a horrible idea. Never do that. They don't have that. They have they have the cartoon devil on one shoulder and they got the angel on one shoulder, and probably the angel never showed up. So they just release that. They release that content, and they just say, for good or ill, the video's out. And then when the truth comes out, then it's like, ah, crap. Oh, well, I'll just delete the video, like you said.
Exactly.
And within a couple hours, people will forget about it, because the way that YouTube works is there's so much content coming in that the chances of you going back and looking at it are slim to none. And then that's just sad. And, I definitely, it makes me worry for internet streaming as a viable future content, so to speak. And I don't know, man. I don't want to see like 20 news stories that, can I trust it? You know what I mean? I want to watch somebody and be like, yeah, that's an accurate source. And it's really getting to the point where you can release a video and say, oh, my friend's brother's cousin told me this rumor, and I'm not saying it's true or anything, but I'm just telling you guys. And now I'm going to give this long-winded speech on why, if the rumor is true, this is how I feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, and it really comes down to that.
Can't
Like,
fly.
There's no journalistic integrity for a lot of these YouTubers and content creators that I'm seeing. And it needs to, oh my God, people in the chat with Dave from SMD.
Oh God.
I don't even know if we need to say anything about it. I mean,
all I can say is, dude bet on the wrong horse.
He really did.
Multiple times, apparently.
But the thing that gets me is a lot of these guys, a lot of them call themselves journalists or gaming gaming insiders
media.
or industry insiders. And the thing is,
Oh
if
man,
you really are an insider, you don't need to broadcast it for one. People would
nope.
know. And there's so many that are just, and I'm seeing it, and I'm not trying to take shots at anybody, but I'm seeing a lot of these content creators is they're taking an article from someone else and then regurgitating it. And so, I had a conversation with another YouTuber about this, and we were both saying, like, where is the investigative journalism? And, people actually reaching out to these companies to find out the truth of what's going on. There isn't. Like case in point with the WWE 2K18 for the Nintendo Switch. A lot of people are saying, like all the YouTubers jumped on it to say, oh, it was horrible, it was crap, this, and this, but they don't understand what was actually going on. Like I reached out to Blind Squirrel, I reached out to 2K, and basically what was going on was WWE saw that the Switch was doing really well. They wanted the game out by Black Friday. 2K and Blind Squirrel were like, we can't get it fully optimized in time for that to come out by that time frame. We need either by the end of December, or maybe beginning of next year. And to 2K, well, I mean, to WWE is unacceptable. So they gave them an ultimatum. And so that's why when it dropped, it just dropped out of nowhere. And instead of a lot of these guys going and reaching out to the companies, they're going off of assumption, you know, articles that they have no way of fact checking or validating or just regurgitating. You can go through, like, if you search something on YouTube, you can see 15 different YouTubers all with damn near the same title for
Yep.
their video.
Oh yeah.
And they're all saying basically the same thing. Even, Doc Trey 81, he actually put out a tweet last month where it was him and he posted something a day before shit, I don't know if I should say his name because I might get in trouble.
Don't want to get in trouble,
but
man.
but he put out a tweet from a YouTuber that calls himself an industry insider.
Mm.
So on two different occasions, and it was the same thing that Doc Trey said, but it was reworded
Oh man.
point for point. You know, it's just they need PR firms. They need people to keep them
Definitely.
in check. They really do.
Yeah. No, and I mean, and sometimes it help. Like it really would help if I mean, I know YouTube provides, what is it? They're like an ambassador program for you guys or whatever. But I mean, I have no clue how deep that is. I mean, you guys get contacts or whatever, but I mean, at what point is there? You got to have some kind of structure. I mean, there needs to be that structure. Any type of well-oiled machine has a good foundation, a solid structure, and some structural integrity. And that's exactly what you need. And I'm very disappointed that sometimes, like you said, a lot of these insiders come out and they just throw 20 stories and it's like spitballing. I mean, it's like I'm going to shoot 20 different rumors out and one of them's going to stick. And I mean, you remember the whole, what was that? It was probably about 5 or 6 months ago. The whole screenshots of Smash 4, the Switch. Those fake screenshots came out. And where somewhat legit, but then as soon as you put them under a microscope, you're like, oh man, these are fake. But I think it was one of those things where the person who put them out, it was smart. They were trying to get Nintendo to announce a Smash 4. They were trying to get them to force their hand. That's what all these fake leaks are. Is to try to force companies.
Oh, what happened? Did we lose Jonesy? Oh man. My apologies, people. I don't know what just happened. I feel like uh you know. Uh huh. So this has actually never happened before. I think we may have lost Jonesy temporarily. I will see if I can get him back on. Oh, yeah, okay. So he said he lost connection. All right. So let's see. And that in that happening, let's see. Do you guys have so he gets back on? This is the fun of live because you never know what's going to happen live, but I enjoy it. I really do. Let's see. So, what's going on in the chat over here? We got, good God, y'all are roasting S&D. I'm gonna. Oh, y'all are roasting him hard, and I'm gonna put it out there. I really I don't know S&D 64 that well, so I can't. I have no real issue with him. You know, I've seen a lot of the stuff that's been posted and the inaccuracies, and I'm kind of like, you know, sometimes when you make your bed, you gotta sleep in it, and that's kind of what happens. Um, all right, so questions, people. Go ahead, put your questions down below, and in the meantime, I will. Okay, so Jonesy said he's gonna try and reconnect. Nintendo Advantage is simple. oh man. No, Amy, I agree with you. He does come on like he's a nice guy. I don't know him personally. That's one thing about me. Like I can't really judge a lot of people. That I don't. Well, I try not to judge people here at all because a lot of that comes back on you. You know, I'm a strong believer in karma. But yeah, a lot of the stuff he presents himself as online, yeah, you know, and I can say that about a lot of content creators. I see that a lot. Fallen Angel, how many subs am I aiming for this year? Um, if I could hit 10,000 subs by the middle or end of this year, I would be content with that. Last year, I didn't even think I was going to hit 2,000. You know, I hit 2,415 subscribers by the end of last year, and hell, I thought I would only hit like maybe at most 500. Oh, you're back.
There we go. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think my Wi-Fi in my house took a crap, so I think that's what it was.
No worries,
But
man.
anyways, sorry about that, man.
No worries. Hey, man, when it's live, it's whatever happens, happens. I don't care.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes, man. I looked, I was like, oh crap, what happened? And then I was just messing around with the settings, and sure enough, man, I just clicked on that Wi-Fi, turned it off, and everything was cool. So that works for me.
Yeah,
But anyways,
if you can see the chat room right now, oh my god, the chat is savage. SMD.
what's going on?
Oh, that guy is being roasted 50 ways to Sunday right now.
Who?
SMD 64.
Oh, is he
He's
doing
being
something today? Or just because we brought him up?
he's
It just bring up his name brings out people's vitriol.
Oh my goodness. Hey, back to what you were saying, man. Before you got disconnected, if you want to
Yeah.
go ahead and finish that train of thought.
Oh, yeah. I believe I was talking about the structural, you know, that YouTube just needs to figure out where it needs to be and where it's going and how to get that integrity. I think that when you now, obviously, we're in this day and age now where you don't believe half the stuff you see on television, but at a certain point, you could trust at least half of what you saw.
Yeah.
And I just think that the internet was supposed to be better than television. Yes, you're going to have your crazy crackpots and you're going to have your nut jobs, but for the most part, it should be, you know, I should be able to go out there and find trusting, uh, sources for information. And, like I'll give OJ a lot of credit in that. Like, when he does his videos, he definitely, speaks it for the most part, as far as I can tell, he speaks it true. And usually he never talks about stuff that he doesn't know about in his videos. So, that is definitely a strong suit. But, what do they say? Negativity sells.
That's
And,
very true.
and unfortunately, well, fortunate for people who enjoy his content, you know, he's not negative, and we enjoy him for that reason. But it seems like other people are just like, eh, he's not espousing my beliefs, so my hate for this and my hate for that, so I'm just gonna dip out of here. And I really I don't understand that. And I've seen other YouTubers that over the years that have really good channels, and they might have like maybe 5,000 at their peak, and that's just sad. And
Yeah.
I just hope we get to a point where a lot more people diversify the platform.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll second you on that. I give a lot of credit to OJ or Player Essence, as a lot of you may know him. He's actually, I mean, he's a good friend of mine. He's actually helped me get started on YouTube back when, before I had any videos up, when I didn't know what processes were for like good editing software, finding my niche. OJ has been really good of helping. I mean, he helps a lot of people want to get into, like YouTube and whatnot. So I have a lot of respect for him, especially with his content too. He does a lot of fact checking, and I give a lot of credit to him because he's one of the very, very, very few that does have some journalistic integrity. So big shout out to him for that. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people that throw up videos that, man,
Shoot first, ask questions never.
or
As they say.
or they're triggered.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
That whole I'm triggered, I'll throw a video up or I'll put an article up. Like that knee jerk reaction is just
Rapid fire, man.
I,
That's what it's about today. It's getting out, it's ingest, digest, regurgitate, repeat. That's pretty much media today. Uh, guy I work with, you know, his brother and my friend are in the music industry, and
mhm,
we were talking. It's the same thing in the music industry right now. It's like the whole world has ADD really bad, and I suffer from hyperactivity. I'm very scatterbrained. I mean, I'm sure many of you know this from the conversation. I'm all over the place, but you know we can focus on certain things, and then I
yeah,
can play a game and I can focus. So we don't need to get the news out, even if it's only 1/10 of the story. I don't need that 1/10 right now. I would rather have 9/10 of the story an hour later than 1/10 of the story right away.
Agreed.
And I hope that's where we head. And I think the some of the stuff that you're seeing with the comic books industry right now, I think that's a positive. It seems like a lot of things that were ruining the comic book industry are now changing. Some bad policies that they had. So when the market speaks, I mean, you can have whatever beliefs you want to have, but the market dictates where businesses need to go. And if people aren't buying the products, and in this case, YouTube's different because obviously it's people watching instead of buying, but you know, people will come and I think me and you were talking about that clean price gaming guy today.
Yeah.
You know, the dude blew up in like no time at all. And
Literally.
it was just from good quality. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Consistently good quality. I mean, and that's all you need, really. And you get to that point, and I'm not saying you're going to blow up overnight, but the success will come. And like with you, I mean, you keep getting better. You keep doing your reviews. I mean, that Tiny Metal review, man, that was awesome. I mean,
I got this dude went on my Tiny Metal review. He gave
oh, this
me
guy.
8, was it? It was like 12 or so or paragraphs of how I'm
Yeah.
wrong. And that's something I've noticed with this generation of people, like the need to make someone wrong, like prove them wrong. It's so neurotic. I don't get it. Like, and I kept trying to diffuse the situation by telling the guy, okay, yeah, you're right. That's your opinion. Cool. And he just wouldn't let it go. I
No.
was I was amazed at that. But yeah, man, like you said, like what, and I really, one of the things I really want to do is help other people who may want to get into YouTubing or podcasting or video editing or whatever. Even the music industry. I used to be in the music industry. I mean, I still kind of am, but I really want to help people get into areas or fields they really want to be successful in. And when it comes to like growth, and a lot of people, I've noticed a lot of people get caught up on the numbers, and you can't really focus on numbers all the time.
No.
So long as your message is clear, you fact check what you're saying, or you write. A lot of people ride the wave, whatever's popular. I remember the was it the Million Degree Knife or whatever. A lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
rode that wave for that. A lot of people rode the success of the Switch to get their channels going. It really, I mean, there's many ways to the top, but you really have to find out what it is you want to do. Like for me, this is purely a hobby. I do it for fun. There's no way in hell I would ever make this a full time career because one,
It's the lifestyle, man. That's
exactly.
exactly what it is.
And I see a lot of people, like a lot of people I know, are making, they're dropping careers to be full time YouTubers or content creators on, Vine, is Vine, Instagram, whatever. And I'm not trying to hate on them. That's cool for people that can do that. If you have the means to make that your primary, cool, then do it. But if you're making a very good salary, like I make my career, I make like over 60, over 70 some thousand, with my promotion. There's no way I would jeopardize that. I wouldn't jeopardize my wife or
Yeah.
my kids' well being to do that, and if the aspiration is to become a YouTuber, I would tell people to probably reassess that. Like, are you doing this for fun or are you doing this to try and get a quick paycheck? And a lot of
Yeah.
people, it's
Well, I
about getting
think
a quick
that's
paycheck.
and that's why, like I said, I mean, I use my buddy all the time as an example. I mean, yeah, he's not a big name guy. I mean, it's if you ever want to look him up, it's Choo Jackson, Choo Jackson. He's from South Central Pennsylvania. I mean, not born and raised, but that's where we went to school and such. Played football with the guy. He had a unique style to him. I mean, you listen to him, and you're like, I've never heard a rapper like this before. And we went to talk to this. We went up to New York City, and we went up there to record one of their songs, and we were hoping to get a single out of it. And that was the plan: was, man, we're gonna get a single, we're gonna get a deal, all this good stuff. You know, it was the easy cash money. And the guy, you know, he was talking to us, and I mean, the organization he was with, the recording studio, they were like horrible shysters, but the guy had some sound advice, and he literally said, he was like, you know, anybody can sell mixtapes. He's like, I get handed mixtapes every day. I mean, this was in New York City. He's like, anybody can burn a Memorex CD. Anybody can record music videos on their phone. Anybody can do any of these things. What is going to separate you from the pack? And I think I see so many people that are like, well, you know, I'm going to turn on my Connect, and I'm going to turn on my Xbox and record myself playing this game, and I'm going to make a couple $100,000, man. I'm good. And that's just such an unrealistic expectation. I mean, nothing is free. I was listening to, and I mean, you know, I don't know, you know, if anybody agrees with him politically or whatever, and that don't matter. But guy Mundane Matt, I mean, and he does a lot of clickbait stuff, not clickbait titles, but he just talks about. He's like, I consider him the National Enquirer of YouTube. Some of the stories that he talks about, you know, he's a tabloid type YouTuber.
Yeah.
But he was talking the other night, and he brought up the whole Oprah thing where you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. But what most people didn't realize was they had to pay taxes on that car.
Yeah.
To get it off out of that studio or wherever the heck they had to pick it up. You know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You're not going to be able to walk on and do something great for free. You got to put an investment in. Athletes, same thing. I mean, South Central Pennsylvania, we are known for one thing, and that's football. And I've had friends that went to college, and that wasn't free. They had to bust their ass to get to that point. You know, so all I can say is that I just hope that, you know, anybody who sees that streaming is getting big right now and is, you know, there are people that are making good money off of it. You know, there's always going to be a top shelf that's making the money, and then there's going to be everybody else in the rat race trying to fight for the everything else. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I feel like a lot of people don't understand is if you are to do YouTube mainly, if that becomes your sole source of income, you also have to pay those taxes back. And I think a lot of people don't understand what it, and if, you know, if you don't pay those taxes,
got to give the government their cut, man.
Yeah, it's like student loans; you can't avoid it.
even Al Capone, I mean, they couldn't get him on anything else, but they got him on tax evasion. So, you know, the government gets theirs. They're gonna get theirs one way or the other.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, my wife was actually just telling me she watched a video on. They were interviewing people who won Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And one of the guys was literally saying, like, oh, my God, this was a curse. This is the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life. He's like, first off, I had all my family members, you know, coming out and asking for a handout. And then, you know, I didn't realize it, but I had to pay my taxes quarterly because I made over, it was like 250,000 or something. So he had to pay the taxes in that quarter. And it was like $350,000 in taxes he had to pay. So, you know, you just don't realize it, man. I mean, the reality, everything is produced, you know, everything on television and stuff, it is produced. And I think people kind of have this mentality where you can just make it by and you'll get, you know, you can maximize your success. And
me and you are living proof that just doesn't work out that way. You have to put in a lot of hard work and dedication.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, it's like I take the example of as a YouTuber, I'm kind of leaning towards now not liking his content as much, but Proto Mario, he's got 600,000 or so subscribers, and he went from talking about video games to now he does just reaction or rant videos. Like he's ranting about something or this, that, and another.
Yeah.
And it's he spoke about in one of his videos where he barely makes $30,000 a year. And I was thinking, I'm like, damn, if you're barely making that, if you were to break that down to an hourly, you're probably making $15 an hour, roughly. I want to say, or less,
Not
12.
even. Well, I mean, if now it depends on how you factor it, how many hours he's working a week. I mean, if you just do a 40-hour work week, that's way less. That's like, well, not way less. It's probably, yeah, like 14, 13.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if that's something to aspire to, you know. And one of the things I try to tell a lot of people, like I have a lot of friends and family that one didn't believe when I was setting out to just do this as a hobby that I would be successful in it. And now they're like wanting help trying to start something similar to it. They want to become YouTubers and or content creators. And um, I tell them, if if it's about the money, no, don't really focus on that. But if you're gonna aspire to do this, you need to have something outside of it. Like some of the most successful YouTubers, like Marquez Brownlee or MKBHD, he probably drops one video a month or every two. He has sponsorships, he has endorsements. His sole income is not purely from YouTube. And I think a lot of and I'm going to say smaller YouTubes, people that are under 200,000 subscribers, a lot of them are chasing Patreon and, whatever ad revenue they can get from YouTube. No, you should be getting endorsements and sponsorships. Like you should have income coming from beyond just one or two sources. You
yeah,
know, especially if you have a family or whatever, because that's not stable. If YouTube collapses, and it will at some
yeah,
point, you know, what are you gonna do?
yeah. It is concerning, and it's definitely brings some questions up. And
Yeah.
uh, with you know, with the broadcasting, and I mean, I know people say get with the times, old man, but with broadcasting in the 80s and 90s, you had those guaranteed contracts. In the
Yep.
music industry, you had development contracts where you had, Baby, he would pay artists who were no names. I mean, to us, to you and me, they were no names, but he would pay them, maybe like 100,000 a year or 50,000 a year. He'd be like, "Look, I'm gonna keep you in the bullpen. If you make a hit, I want first dibs at it." And you would have contracts like that. You would have, you could go to NBC or ABC with a pilot, and they'd be like, "Well, we don't have anywhere on our schedule for it, but we like this, and we're going to pay you a check just for you to sit on your ass and hold this idea for us. And if we ever give a spot for you, we're open to it." And excuse me, but it was just one of those things where you had that. You had,
Sure.
you had that uh, system in place where you had people that were being taken care of, and just I worry that YouTube is going to leave a lot of its artists out to dry if anything would happen. I mean, I think that's what happened with the adpocalypse. I think they left a lot of their people out to dry, especially some bigger name people. and it just sucks.
No, I fully agree with you. That's the truth. And if people, okay, like Amy just said in the chat, everyone that's doing YouTube full time, at some point they're going to regret it in the long term. I believe that's true. You know, you don't have a pension to rely on if it goes down or if you decide to retire from it. You don't have anything to fall back on. So that it's just too unstable. It
Yeah,
really is. If you
high
get
highs,
in,
low lows.
if you get in and you make a lot of money, you better be banking that, get some Bitcoin, do something. You need to have
Some
multiple
gold and
sources.
silver, man.
I mean, seriously, like it really, even for myself, like, I talk about, how much I make, and it's not to brag, but, I worked really hard to work to where I can go and work
You
in a
should be
corporate
proud of that,
hospital,
man.
you know, to have owning two cars, no note or nothing on it. Like, I'm proud of where I'm at, but at the same time, I still have other income. I still get residual income from when I was putting out music. I still get income from like working with other local artists here in Hawaii and nationwide and stuff I've ghostwritten. Like I used to do ghostwriting for music. I've been able to have income that still comes in that if that goes away, I'm still straight. And
Yeah,
that's just one of the things I just really want people to understand. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket
no,
and just pray because you're seeing so many content creators on Twitter bitching and moaning constantly about this is being demonetized, that's being demonetized. That's kind of a red flag that y'all should probably pay attention to. You know?
yeah, yeah. No, and I don't think the advertising situation is going to get any better. I mean, if there's one thing that history has shown with advertisers, advertisers are always sketchy. They've
Yeah.
always been that way. I mean, anytime there's any kind of controversy, an advertiser will pull. I mean, Jesus Pete's, what was that Michael Phelps has a picture taken with a bong rip,
Yeah.
and there's no evidence of what's in the bong or what anything is, but just that picture of him smoking a bong, he loses so many endorsement deals.
Yep.
I mean, that's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that he loses. Recently, Ray Rice lost millions of dollars in endorsement deals because of his thing, with hitting his fiance. Like, you can't plan on tomorrow, but you can at least try to set yourself up in as good a situation as possible. And I think that's kind of where some people, and I want to say this. I don't think anybody should aim low. I don't think you should give up on your dreams, but at the same time, you have to also plan, hey, so I'm going to focus on living my dreams, but I'm also going to live my life as usual. Because, I mean, I just saw a lot of friends that they wanted to do one thing, they wanted to do sports, and as soon as their sports career fizzled out, it's like, well, I'm done. It's like, dude, you have a college degree now. Yeah, but I'm going to go home and chill out. And that's sad to see,
Yeah.
So you definitely want people to follow their aspirations, especially now, man. I mean, we live in a time where you can do. I mean, I know there's some people that say, "Oh, there's so few opportunities," but that's hogwash, man.
Yeah.
There literally are so many things that you can get into nowadays. There's so many things you can become an expert on. Like I don't know if you ever listened to Adam Carolla, the guy he used to
Mm-hmm.
be on the Man Show and Loveline, but
Yeah.
his show is one of the best. I love it, man. But he has his podcast, and I listen to it. And man, one of his guests that he had on, I forget who it was, but he literally said, "You want to be an expert." He said, "Read a book about a subject, and you'll know more than 90% of the world knows about that topic.
That just makes me think of, and I say this to my mom and my wife a lot. I'm amazed that we live in a digital age where if you need to learn something, all you've got to do is grab your phone
Yep.
and look it up. But we have so many people that say they don't know something or they're just ignorant of X, Y, and Z. And it's like, how? You have social media, you have the internet in general, everything's at your fingertips. We should be, as a generation, significantly smarter than our parents' parents, and everything before because there's no longer the barrier of entry of knowing about another country, another topic, another culture, whatever. But for whatever reason, that's where we're at. And it just really blows my mind that we've got a generation of people that just choose to be ignorant. Like, I mean, we can segue into this topic, net neutrality.
Yeah.
That did not know that this has been going on for years. And then because somebody wants to get loud, YouTuber, content creator, whoever, wants to get loud and vent about it, then all of a sudden, this is a problem.
Yeah.
But if it
Yeah.
was a problem, you should have known about it, and there's no excuse why, you know.
Yeah. No, and that goes back to what I was saying before about, nobody cares unless it affects them. And as soon as somebody says your internet bill might get higher, what? That's no, 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 no. This matters now. Now I want action. And it's like, well, we could have had action 5 years ago. Could have had action 10 years ago. We could have had action during the .com boom in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, there's so many chances that we had to get the net under control. And I think that's kind of where people miss the issue. I mean, obviously, my views on net neutrality are I'm not a fan of Article 1 or Article 2.
If
I
you want to
just
go ahead and educate people, go ahead, because
okay.
I enjoyed that talk we had.
Yeah, I mean, our Article 1 and Article 2. Article 2 was put into effect, and that was recently. I believe that was 2015, and that was one of those things where it transferred the power of the internet from the ISPs that could control what they charge for content, how much bandwidth usage. They could allow for faster lanes, so to speak. Basically, just faster internet speeds for certain content users. And then that changed, obviously, in 2015. That kind of made everything even keel, but it also brought in more government regulation. But same way with Article 1. I mean, it's just more government regulation over the internet, more control. I mean, whether it's the FTC or the FCC, I mean, they are government organizations. They are not elected officials. So we as citizens do not have control over those policies. And that makes me very uncomfortable. And I just felt like the whole thing was with Article 1, Title 1. Title 1, the ISPs get rich. And of course, their lobbyists in DC are paying politicians on the right side of the debate. They're paying them millions and millions of dollars to make sure that is not ever going to happen again, and then you have the tech-based companies like Amazon, YouTube, which is owned by Google, and Facebook. They're paying lobbyists in DC on the left of the political spectrum to fight for Article 2, or pardon me, Title 2. I don't know why I keep saying article, like it's the Constitution. but but Title II, because they greatly benefit from it. But I will say that prior to Article 2, or pardon me, Title II, I did it again. Prior to Title II, Title One, the internet's throttling is illegal. It cannot be done. Um, as for a lot of things I heard about the government controlling the internet, which was what people said if net neutrality was removed, that the government would control the net, but Title II actually gives greater power of control to the government through the FCC. So it's one of those things where, and it's looked at as a utility as well. So that goes under government control as well. So I mean, it's a murky water, and the best way I can say to it is, it's like punching somebody in the face and then giving them an ice pack. It's creating a problem earlier and then offering a solution down the road. And I just feel that we need to go back to the beginning of it all and say, okay, the net, there is no such thing as a free public space on the net. Everything is chopped up by the corporations. So we have to find a way that these corporations can coexist with the ISPs, and everybody's getting a fair exchange, and we, the consumers, are paying a fair market rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know, if making it a utility will work, or if, totally opening up the market will work. I have no idea, but I just don't like more government control. And that's kind of my spiel on it.
Yeah. I think that was honestly, like, as I said earlier, an audience may not know, but Jonesy and I had a very long conversation about this. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Week ago, and it was just our breakdown on what net neutrality is, our views on it, and just noticing all the fear mongering that has been going on. People saying, "Oh, the internet's dead," and blah 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 blah. But it's really about painting a narrative, pushing an agenda, and a lot of people don't understand the full scope of what it is. This is not the first time we've been at the whole repealing of net neutrality. It's been shot down twice before, and who knows? It may go through this time, it may not. We don't know. But you know, my my hopes are for you, the audience, and whoever's listening or watching. If you're gonna take a stance on any type of topic, be informed. That's my biggest thing. Be informed, understand. Like Jonesy was talking about the articles, what they are, what they mean. Who's doing what. You need to know this stuff before the whole. What we were saying earlier, the knee jerk reactions, or the
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
too many people are doing that. Too many people are just reacting without all the bites. I mean, all not the bites, but all the knowledge of what's
Information.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I mean, and nobody can be informed on all the facts. I mean, and like I'm not going to stand here and say like, oh, I know that this is going to work out or this is going to be a complete disaster. I mean, I can't say that, and nobody in DC can say that. But yet we have so many people online that are coming out and saying this is going to be a complete catastrophe, and gaming prices are going to go up, and it's like, it makes me scratch my head, and I'm just like, this is like fear mongering. It's like the Reds are coming, you know what I mean? Like the communists are coming, the Russians are invading, they're gonna parachute in. I feel like we're living in like 1960s America, and we're at the fear of nuclear war every day, and that's just not how I want to live my life. And if that's how you want to live your life, that's fine, but that's just not for me, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's there are things that going on. Like for instance, I live out here in Hawaii, and they had I want to say a couple months ago when the whole threat of nuclear attack on on the U.S. and of Hawaii being, well, Hawaii's part of the U.S., but I'm saying specifically
Yeah,
of this state being,
mainland.
yeah, Hawaii and the mainland being attacked. If Korea was to attack Hawaii, we have, as a state, 20 minutes to react. And it's just like, but nobody wants to, especially the attention now is it was subverted from threat of nuclear attack to net neutrality. It's kind of like what's my favorite movie? Lucky Number 11, where they talked about the Kansas City Shuffle, make everybody look right where you go left. And it's like, we got nuclear war. This guy has said he's got a button on his desk and he can press it and he can attack it anywhere in the U.S. But we're going to shift the narrative focus from a real threat to not just America, but everyone, to net neutrality.
Something that probably, if it does affect anybody, it won't be in effect until years later down the line. And by then, most people have forgot about it. Whether it's a positive change or a negative change, I guarantee you most people will forget about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the true sad part about it all, is that everything, that's our news cycle that we go through, man, it's the knee-jerk reaction. People have such short attention spans and short memories that I just don't think anybody's gonna remember. It's the cause de celeb, whatever's the big thing of the day, we got to be on it. But tomorrow, whatever, you know what I mean? It just blows my mind, and I kind of hope that in the future we get to the point where we can, kind of come together and look at things and be like, that, I might disagree with you and you might disagree with me, but let's find some happy medium ground, And I think with net neutrality, I think the medium ground would be, just get Title I, get Title II, get them out of there, get them both out of there. One benefits one group, the other benefits another group, but we, the consumers, are paying the price one way or the other. And, it's just like you were saying earlier with the whole people who defend a console. It's like they have stock in the company. It's the same thing, man. It's like they have some kind of, like, the ISPs came and stole their child, their firstborn or something. Same thing, man. They never did anything bad to me, So I just hope that we start to get a little more intelligent, and hopefully we can get past this stuff, man. I really do.
I agree. And I guess on that note, I guess we can wrap it up. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this, man. Thank you for being the first person on the Kasanova podcast. I enjoyed it.
I feel really honored, dude.
I definitely want to have you back on for more. We got to figure out a schedule for this, but for those of you who are watching and listening, you will be able to catch this not only on YouTube, but you'll also be able to catch it on iTunes tomorrow morning, as well as on Google Play Music tomorrow morning at the same time. They're going to launch at the same time on both platforms. But while we're at it, we can take some time to do some Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we'll respond to them. There's a lot of activity in the chat. But hey, if you guys got questions,
hey, that's what we like to hear, man. One second, man. Hold on 1 second.
All right.
My TV decided to jump on into power saving mode, and it gets really bright all of a sudden. But go ahead whenever you're ready, man.
All right, so we got a question from That Blitz VIP member. He or she states, or is asking, what do you think of Mega Man 11?
Let's see. You want to go, man? Or you want me to
go? I'll take it.
All right,
I'll go first, and then you can give your response, and we'll alternate on and off.
Yeah, good.
So my thoughts on Mega Man 11, I actually think it's I think we saw the signs that it was going to happen for quite some time. I think a lot of people weren't paying attention to it because they were so caught up on Capcom just rehashes things and rehashes. Everybody does that. Sony does it. Microsoft does it. Nintendo does it. Everyone. It's because if you're gonna bring something back that's old that people enjoyed, why not? There's money to be made there. But I believe that when they start doing the Mega Man Legacy Collection on the the PC, PS4, PS3, PS3, all other platforms. That was a sign when the first one came out, and then the second one, that we were gonna get a sequel. And it's the same thing with when Capcom dropped the Ultra Street Fighter 2. There had to be a reason that they were going to do that and then bring out possibly something else for the 30th anniversary. And it's actually both series 30th anniversary. So I just saw it coming. I think graphically the game looks really good. I think it's a step up, especially from what Mega Man 9 and 10 were. I think it looks really good in comparison to Mega Man 8 and Mega Man and Base. Gameplay looks solid. And hey, I mean, until we get to play it, never know. I think it definitely looks better than Mighty Number 9. I'll see that.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you said, man. I definitely am more of an X fan. So, I like the newer style Mega Man games. And Blasphemy, I know I actually enjoyed 7. So I know that's blasphemy to a lot of Mega Man fans.
What? Mega Man 7 was awesome. I loved it.
I loved 7. 8 had its okay moments, but it was pretty corny overall.
Yeah.
I actually had it on the Saturn, believe it or not. But that
was a better version, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. The Saturn actually is the superior version to the PlayStation. Well, one of the actually a lot of those 2D games were. Yeah, man, I'm glad that Capcom they didn't forsake us, especially us who loved our games portably. They definitely came through. The only thing that I was really disappointed that they didn't announce was the Disney Afternoon Collection. That was a big, omittance, and I'm not sure why that didn't happen, especially because I think it was the game director from that studio or the port house who did those. He tweeted the Nintendo Direct, the last one. He tweeted it and said, "Oh, here's some, this should be interesting." So, I don't know what that was all about, but hopefully we'll see it at some point. But yeah, I'm excited for Mega Man, man. More Mega Man, and we'll have them all on the Switch soon.
I know, that's crazy. Hopefully we get a Mega Man X9 because that series ended on a cliffhanger.
Yes,
man,
you're not kidding. I have to say I didn't like the PS2 Mega Man X. I thought that one was pretty awful, but
X7 and X8.
Yeah, I did not like. I think I played 7. I don't think I ever played 8. I was so I don't know. I was just so turned off from 7, just kind of how it was going. But
yeah,
I definitely think that they could bring it back. And I think if they got a collab between Any Creates or something again, I think they could really make some magic happen.
Agreed. Yep. Let's see. Next question. We got from Power Level Amy. She says, "Hey, Mekel, what system would you have with you on a deserted island if you had to pick Wii U, GameCube?" Oh gosh, she's talking about. I don't know if you saw that the tweets with another YouTuber. It was so funny. The one where she got blocked.
Oh God. Oh, that was the N64, the infamous
N64
comment. Oh man.
Oh God, Amy, you're sometimes your savagery amazes me. Actually, all the time.
Don't mess around, man.
She doesn't. She doesn't. Like I tell people, you're never gonna win if you go up against her on any topic. I guess if I had to have one on a deserted island and I don't have to worry about trying to charge it or anything like that, as long as I have a couple battery packs, I guess the Switch. That's either that or the 3DS. Those would be the two portables I'd have.
Mm. Oh man.
Uh,
They're not bad ones, man. They're not bad ones at all. Because you can't play a home console. What are you gonna plug it into a coconut tree or something? You're gonna be SOL. I want my Xbox or my PlayStation 4, and it's like, yeah, but you didn't ask for a TV, man. You're kind of shit out of luck here. Honestly, this is gonna show me being a true Xbox fanboy. I would actually go with the Vita.
Mm.
And the reason I would go with the Vita is because you have all the Vita games, you have all the PSP, well, 90% of the PSP library, and you have pretty much a large swath of the PS1 library right at your fingertips. And
That's very true.
I thought that the 32-bit era was, I think, one of the most underappreciated eras that we had. So I would be set until I died from dehydration.
I can't argue with you there. That's very true. You have a enormous library with that. That's spanning what 3 different generations.
Yeah,
including indie titles too. So
yeah. The Vita, it's funny because the Switch now is really, it had a really good jumping off point because so many people were used to buying indies on the Switch or on the Vita, pardon me, because they were so great portably, because they were, pick up and play, experiences. And then you have the Switch now. And like I said earlier, the Switch is literally everything the Vita should have been. So,
yeah.
We just need to get a couple more of the fighting games on the Switch that the Vita had, because the Vita had some superb fighting games.
That's true.
So we get some of that and some more JRPGs, and man, we'll be set. And then I'll steal your Switch from you on the island.
But that goes to show you, like, one of the things with Sony is they don't often stand behind a product. They'll launch it and then back off, like the PS4 Pro, for instance. They hyped it. It did not, as someone who owns it, I don't feel the PS4 Pro lived up to the hype at all.
No, me neither, man. I like I said, I enjoy it for Res Infinite, and I like Horizon Zero Dawn. I think that game looks great, but it's one of those things where I was just glad that the Vita survived in spite of Sony. But when Super Metal Dave said Vita 2, as much as I love the Vita, and I love that system, I would never buy another PlayStation Portable ever again.
Let's see. Next question. Let's see. Fallen Angel, or The Fallen Angel asks, Mekel, are you ready to get wrecked in Dragon Ball Fighter Z?
Ooh. Damn, man.
Okay.
Throwing shade. Holy hell, man.
I guess my response to that would be, let's see. Let me grab it. Whenever you're ready.
Oh,
I'm ready.
Damn. Pulls out the arcade stick, man.
I got plenty seats. I'm gonna steal Doc Trey 81's. I got plenty seats to give out. So line up, and if it does come to the Switch, you still ain't safe because I got a fight stick for the Switch.
Yeah, boy, that Hori fight stick, man.
So, you know,
How
seats
is
will
that,
be
by
here.
the way?
Oh man, it's buttery. I love it.
Oh,
I get all those Neo Geo fighting games and I just
yeah.
play exclusively with the fight stick.
Oh man,
I love it.
you got me hyped, man. That thing's like what, $120 or something. You got me
Yeah.
hyped for getting one of them. My wife's gonna slap me in the back of the head for buying one though. But oh, man, I love the those fighting pads, man. The arcade pads. I mean the best one. And here we go. I'm gonna be the Sega fanboy again. The best one was the Sega Saturn. What the hell was it? The Virtua stick, man. The
Oh
Virtua
man,
pad.
that was amazing.
I still have mine. It's in the back room. Man, that thing is just, it feels so good playing on that. And, you just feel like you're playing the arcade. I really think that the Switch, and I've been saying this with all the Neo Geo games and the Namco Museum, and now I think what we're supposed to be getting, oh, who is it? Data East games coming out soon.
Yeah,
The
we actually
Switch.
got one.
What's
One
that?
came out already. We actually got one. Power Instinct.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a throwback there.
yeah,
That
man.
was the
That
one
is a
that
throwback. That's before my time.
I think wasn't that the one that Capcom sued them because it was so much. It was basically a ripped port of Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, that's probably right, man. That sounds like that. Dude, Data East was one of those companies that they were known for like stealing people's ideas, but they had some really great games in their time too. I mean, we were unfortunate. I think because they had so many copyright issues, their collections actually never came over here to the States.
Yeah.
I think you might be able to get the one as WiiWare. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I know that they released collections on the PSP and the PS2, but we never got them out here. We got like the Capcom arcades reloaded, which they were really good too. But yeah, I think the Switch could really set itself up nice as the best arcade system, besides a main computer unit.
Yeah. Agreed. I agree with you on that. All right, people, we'll probably take about maybe 2 or 3 more questions. So next one comes from Liquid Metal. Shout out to Liquid Metal. He says, MekelKasanova, I know you're into music. Which game has the best music in your opinion? Jonesy, if you want, you can go ahead and take this one.
Best music, man. I'm gonna have to go with Panzer Dragoon. If we're talking of all time,
yeah,
I would say Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2. They just had some of the greatest music to go along with the scenes. I mean, it was orchestral, and it really fit that mood. Like you felt like, back then, we're talking in the mid 90s, like you were really flying on a dragon, and it just felt really magical. And I think it was just the music that you want is to immerse you more in that world. And you couldn't have asked for more with the Panzer Dragoon series.
I agree with you. I think it's a shame that Sega hasn't re-released that entire series in a collection because, man,
they lost the source code for Saga. So,
was it during that
the fire or the flood, the hurricane or whatever?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a double-edged sword because it makes my copy more valuable, but at the same time, I would love to play a re-release of it. I mean, I would kill for that.
I guess if I were to say best music in a game. Oh my goodness, that is. Okay. That's a hard one.
Isn't it?
It is. It is. It really is.
You got to think of like your favorite game and just think of the music to it. That's what I did.
I want to say. Hmm. I really want to say Chrono Cross.
That was really good music, man.
Yeah, that composer, was it Yoshinori Mitsuda?
Yeah.
He went balls to the wall with that soundtrack. Every song perfectly matched that situation that
Yeah.
the characters were in. And I mean, random fact, he's actually who did the soundtrack for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 1 and the original Xenogears. And it's just that guy, if he ever collabed with Nobuo Uematsu from Final Fantasy fame,
Ooh.
oh my goodness.
Talk about orchestral, man. That might be like a, what do they call it? A muse, man. Somebody could make a game probably out of that music, man. You really could.
Seriously, like I went to we had was it the video game concert the beginning of last year. My wife and I went, and they played a lot of his music, a lot of stuff from Zelda, a lot of stuff from Skyrim. Oh my goodness, man, like that
That was going to be the
music.
second game I was going to say was Skyrim. If I couldn't
Yeah.
think of an older one, that was a good one too. But yeah, no, you're not wrong, man. Chrono Cross, and that's an underrated game too.
It
A
really
lot of,
is.
I think a lot of people now are starting to find out that it's actually a good game because for back then, you remember the stigma, man. Oh, this is the sequel to Chrono Trigger. What the heck? You know what I mean? That was
Right?
like a big deal. And so many people just threw it on the bottom shelf. And, I'm glad now that it is kind of getting that second wind of life with a lot of the retro gamers. That's really awesome.
That game, and there's a YouTuber I follow, Satchel Drakes, and he actually did a whole, I think it was like 2 videos where he explained using like superstring theory and multiverse theory to explain that yes, Chrono Cross is the sequel. My mind was blown at like his video. I was like, wow. And it goes to show you
That would
presentation.
be nuts.
Presentation, like you said, because this
Yeah.
presentation is super, super clean. All right. Let's see. Next question we got from a talkie teacher. Shout out to the talkie teacher. He
What's up, iTalkie?
says, what does he say? Predict the Switch sales in 2018.
Ooh, he gonna put us on the
Um,
spot.
I know. All right. So a lot of people have been wanting to know if the Switch can hit 20 million in 2018. I personally think yes, it's not an impossibility. I mean, 2017 was a hell of a year for Nintendo, probably their best ever. They've never come out of the gate swinging like they did with Zelda before, or with Mario, Splatoon 2. Hell, even though Arms wasn't as successful, I mean, it was a new IP from them. I think, and yeah, like Amy just said, if Pokemon comes out, guaranteed, there's no question that it will hit 20 million. If Smash Brothers comes out, I think that's a guarantee as well. It may even exceed 20 million. I don't think it's impossible because I mean a lot of people didn't think the Switch would sell 10 million in the first year, and technically, the year for the Switch is not even over yet. We still got 2 more months. So I mean, I think it's possible. Truthfully speaking, that's a good question, Toggy. I do think it is possible that it'll hit 20 million. Hell, even if it doesn't, I mean, it's still a success. It's the hot item that everybody wants. So,
Yeah. No, and I mean, and you know, I want to put a number here on record, man. I want to get a number here down for what's it called? I can't even think of the word. Just something that we can put an asterisk next to. But I think that the system got at least 13 million by now. I think it's going to hit 15 million for the year by March. March 3rd would be its full year on the market. I think it's going to hit 15 by then. I think there's a good chance that you will see a lot more systems sell next year. I think we could see possibly 30 million units by next year. I truthfully do believe that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now that they're going to have to, they got to make some deals with some AAA studios. Yes, you're going to get the people who are interested this year. You're going to get a lot of people who are, the Vita stalwarts that, we're used to not getting big games, so we're happy with that. But there was only like maybe 2-3 million of us total in the States anyways, and a couple more, like probably 10 more million in Japan, probably 10-13 million. So you're going to get those. But to get the mainstream market, you got to have those AAA experiences that really set the system apart. And I think Doom, LA Noire, Skyrim, I think they were all, even NBA 2K, they were all great showcases for what the system can do. So now Nintendo really needs to come out there, really push these AAA studios and say, look, whatever we got to do to get the software out there this year, have 1 month be a AAA first party, and then the next month be a AAA, third party title. And they do that, and then have the indies and, your double A's, which they don't really exist much anymore, but, like your THQ Nordics and your mid-tier like Nicalis and stuff like that. You have them fill out the middle. We could see a superb year. And I really think, the system could be something truly special.
Oh, I agree with you fully. Yeah, I can't add anything to that. That was solid. That was really solid.
So
All
I
right,
talkie 30 million. 30 million by this time next year. Over it.
And I think also people need to, because I see a lot on Twitter and on videos where people are actually trying to compare the Switch's units sold to like the Xbox One or the PS4. You really shouldn't compare those two because there's a 4-year difference. Yeah. So we'll take about 2 more questions and then we'll call it a wrap on this podcast. But let's see. Brian Richards has one. He says, for the next question, what are the top 5 things you're looking forward to from the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection? He says, your reaction was amazing, by the way. Hashtag Street Fighter 30th hype. Hashtag rest in peace headphones. Yes, my headphones. I destroyed my headphones with that reaction. You want to take it? You want to go first?
Go ahead, man. You're the fighting game guru. I'd like to hear what your top 5 things are on the collection, man.
Okay, so top 5. Number 1, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. I have been wanting that game to come back on modern platforms since they re-released it back in 2011 on the PS3 and Xbox 360. Number 2, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike on the Switch. Portable. Because that's never happened with that entry. And that's considered by many as the greatest Street Fighter of all time.
Hell yeah.
3, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike on PC that's not a ROM hack with online because it's never come to PC before. So I'm hyped for that. Number 4, bringing back Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter Alpha 3, and making it online with current servers. I think that's amazing because that was another game that was top back in the late 90s. Like that was people were always comparing King of Fighters 98 to Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter Alpha 3. So that's something I'm really excited for. And I guess 5, my 5th thing that I'm excited for or looking forward to with the anniversary collection is the fact that for about $40, and with the exception of Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, you're getting every single Street Fighter ever. And I know a lot of people can say, oh, that's a rehash of what's already come out. But, you got to look at it in the sense that Capcom is looking to get that core audience that they had from the 90s and 80s with this. This may not appeal to this current generation that likes just purely shooters or MOBA titles. That's something that's pulling back the old heads that probably walked away, and haven't thought about it since. Probably got married, had kids, moved away from gaming, or view this current generation of tutorials as just it's too much. I just want to play. I don't have the time. That's the market demographic that I think that they're looking for. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say my number one thing for sure is the fact that it's the arcade ports, especially for Street Fighter 3, Third Strike, and for Alpha 3, the arcade ports were the best. I mean, even the Dreamcast version of Alpha 3 had issues. I mean, had some latency problems on it. Now everybody knows, of course, the Saturn version was the best.
it was.
but I'm excited about playing the arcade versions because they were just so smooth, and I'm used to that level of zero latency. Plus, with the arcade version, you get that 4 megabytes of RAM power, man. That's gonna be the killer right there. But 2, I'm excited for just being able to play all those Street Fighter games, my favorites, on the go, on the Switch. That's going to be great. Playing them at home on the big screen, and then just being able to play at work, pull off the Joy-Cons and play them. I'd say that I'd go into 3, just the joy with them. 4, the fact that we're getting the full collection. I mean, I know me and you talked about it. We had gotten collections before, but they were never, this is unheard of for Capcom. They've never released a collection like this. I mean, like we've gotten like SVC Chaos and, the Mega Man Legacy Collection and Arcade Reloaded and Remix. But we never have gotten a collection this massive before. So I think this is Capcom's mea culpa, and that would be number 5. Capcom just doing right by we the fans finally, especially after Street Fighter 5, MVC Infinite, and that's pretty much it.
All right. Last question. Actually, I want to combine these two into one. And the two questions are actually from Power Level Amy and from Liquid Metal. So we're going to condense them into one question total and give 2 separate answers if you guys will give us that opportunity. So Power Level Amy says, with the rumored Nintendo Direct looking like it's going to be true for next week, of the leaked 18 titles put on Amazon yesterday, what game do you hope is announced with the Direct? And Liquid Metal's question was, what do you think about people that consider Smash a fighting game? If you want to go ahead and take that one.
Yeah. So my big game that I'm hoping for um, is I really want to see Pikmin. Um, I never was big in Nintendo, as I said, but I always played my friends. He had Pikmin 2, and I love that game a lot. I'm a big old school real time strategy fan, and I just think that Pikmin on that touch screen, it just has me so excited. So, I don't know if that's a part of the leaked games or not um, list, but I hope we see that. I really do.
What do you think about people considering Smash a fighting game?
Oh, I mean, it is a fighting game. I mean, it's its own type of fighting game. I mean, it's a battle. What do they call that? A I don't
Battle
even know what
Arena or
the
something?
yeah. It's some kind of niche genre, but it is a fighting genre. I mean, I'm not going to say that a real time strategy game and a turn based strategy game, one is a real strategy game and the other isn't a strategy game because they're inter genres, they're
Yeah.
niche genres. So I don't understand that. I think that it is a fighting game. I think it takes skill. I would get my ass handed to me if I faced half of you guys in the chat. Probably 99% of you guys in the chat on Smash, you would smash my ass. So I would not. It takes skill. And that shows a fighting game in my opinion. So I know it's got weapons, it's got power ups and stuff, but it's definitely, in my opinion, a fighting game. And I don't think people who consider that a fighting game, I don't think there's anything wrong with those people.
Yeah. I guess I'll give my take on it too. For the rumored direct, I actually didn't. I don't know what the leaked 18 titles were. So I'm completely shooting in the dark right now. I'm hoping. I'm really hoping that we possibly get um, Tekken 7 to the Switch. I think it would do better on the Switch than it would on, say, the Xbox or the PlayStation. Because if you're looking at how Tekken 7, because I have it on PC, PS4, and Xbox. I like fighting games. Bear with me. And I don't know why it's not optimized very well for the Xbox. It looks worse than Tekken Tag Tournament 2 on the 360, which is odd. But I think fighting games with this current generation, it would lead better towards being on a portable device that you can take with you, plop it, two Joy Cons, two controllers. There you go. I would like for them to announce that along with Soul Calibur 6 because both games are actually done in Unreal Engine 4 and possibly even Dragon Ball Fighter Z because that's fully Unreal Engine 4. And I think that if we are getting BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, there's no reason why we can't get Dragon Ball Fighter Z. So those would be what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, a Secret of Mana port or localization of the Japanese trilogy that they released
Oh yeah.
middle of last year. So, possibly that. Um, as far as Liquid Metal, your question about what do I think about people that consider Smash a fighting game? Um, I'm gonna say I think they should alter their perspective because it's like looking at Metroid Prime and the original Halo and Call of Duty. They're all first person games, first person shooters, but they're just different genres of first person, different subcategories of it. Whereas Metroid Prime was still adventure based and collectathon. Halo was all about, the story, the music, the co-op, and then Call of Duty at that time was just World War II. So I think if people look at it as a genre of fighting, of a fighting game, it would make more sense. Is it a party game? Yes, it started out as that with the original one on the 64, but it has grown into its own category to where it basically created its own category because you've seen Sony copy it with PlayStation All Stars. You've seen this other company make the Brawl Out, try to be as close to Smash Bros. Brawl as possible. So, it's a genre that was created, I think, in part not only with the original Smash Bros. In 64, but I think also with Power Stone from Sega.
Yes.
Well, not Sega, but from Capcom. I think they created a party multiplayer fighting genre that, unfortunately, Power Stone just isn't around anymore for it. So
yeah, we got Arms. That's close.
yeah, and Arms is a really good take or a modified take on Punch Out, but it just didn't take off.
Yeah. I mean, it did. I mean, it sold like what 1.13 or something like that. I mean, that's not bad to sell over 1 million units on a system at the time that had only like 7 million out. I mean, yeah, I think it did well. I think we're gonna see an ARMS sequel. I think they're gonna refine it. Like I said, I definitely I'm really excited for this direct. I mean, Nintendo has pretty much wowed me. The only one that they didn't wow me on was that Pokemon Direct. And I mean, it was still exciting. I mean, we got Pokken, which was cool, but
I played once.
What's that?
I played Pokken Tournament like once.
Yeah, I was disappointed in it because I love 3D fighters. I mean, Virtua Fighter was my jam. But I don't know. It's different, That whole rock paper scissors thing it's something different to get into, but I respect people who really dig that game, and I bought it, so I added to the total.
Yeah. All right, and that just about that wraps up the Kasanova podcast. I want to thank you guys for watching. I really want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been very active. I did not expect this many people to be active in the chat. I mean, this for the first one with me having a guest on it, that was amazing. So you guys are awesome for that. Jonesy the Gent, I want to thank you for being on the show, man.
Yeah, no
I know we've been talking about this before, but this was amazing, man. This was the very textbook definition of an organic conversation that just grew.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you having me a part of this, man, and I definitely feel honored to be your first guest, man.
So we definitely got to do it again. Jonesy, why don't you go ahead and tell people where they can find you at?
I'm on Twitter, Jonesy the Gent. You can find me on Xbox, JA Jonesy the Gent, and just hit me up, give me a holler, whatever. I'm down to play, whatever, man.
All right, and people, you can find me here on YouTube, on Twitter. I think I have a Facebook fan page. I don't know. I don't really go on Facebook a whole lot anymore. But you can also find me on Twitter. You can, if you just look up MekelKasanova, is Kasanova with a K. There's a story behind why I picked Kasanova, just because I'm just trying to. That was actually one of my stage names when I was a singer. I was much skinnier back then, and I had fun back in my younger years. I'll just say that. Oh God, if I could go back to my early 20s again. God. Anyway, so yeah, you guys find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagrams. Yeah, Instagram too, and YouTube. If you look up MekelKasanova, you can catch this podcast here on YouTube and also on iTunes, Google Play Music, Podbean, which should be coming soon, as well as Shout Engine and SoundCloud. Just look up the Kasanova Podcast, and you'll be able to find it right there. All the links will be down in the description below on both the podcast and on this YouTube live stream. And with that being said, it's a wrap. If you guys want to be on the podcast, you can email me at Mekel@MekelKasanova.com, or just shoot me a DM or just tweet to me or, you know, whatever social media I'm on. If you're on it too and you want to be on the podcast, I welcome anybody. So that's a wrap. Had a good time right here with my main man, Jonesy the Gent. Thank y'all for being awesome, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace out, guys.